There is a battle taking place inside you that no eye can witness. It moves in silence, hidden beneath your words, beneath your habits, beneath your posture and your reactions. Yet, its influence reaches everything. You feel its weight when you open your eyes in the morning before the first breath is even drawn. You feel it when you try to steady yourself under pressure. You feel it in the courage that vanishes or returns when pain enters the room. And you feel it in the way your spirit stands when life refuses to bend to your will. Most people spend their entire lives fighting what is visible. They fight for money, for recognition, for status, for comfort, for control. They believe the enemy is outside of them. In difficult people, in unfair circumstances, in mischances, in delayed success, in the judgment of the world. But the deepest battle, clear throat, is rarely outside. It is the quiet conflict between the person you truly are and the person you created in order to survive. Somewhere along the path, you learned to adjust yourself before others could reject you. You discovered which parts of your nature were welcomed and which parts made people uncomfortable. So, you became careful. You smiled when your heart was tired. You stayed silent when truth wanted to rise through your throat. You made yourself smaller in rooms where your full presence felt unsafe. You swallowed anger, covered pain, softened your dreams, and you called it maturity. At first, snort softly, these patterns may have protected you. They helped you belong. They helped you avoid punishment, conflict, disappointment, and loneliness. But a shield carried for too long becomes a cage. A mask worn for too many years begins to feel like a face. This is why so many feel exhausted even when nothing dramatic has happened. Their fatigue is not only from work or responsibility or lack of sleep. It comes from the constant effort of maintaining a version of themselves that is not fully alive. They are not simply living. They are managing impressions. They are not simply choosing. They are calculating reactions. They are not simply speaking. They are measuring every word against the possibility of being misunderstood. Slowly, without realizing it, they lose contact with the still center within. The world will tell you that transformation means adding more routines, more goals, more discipline, more knowledge, more ambition, more noise dressed as improvement. But the deeper path begins in the opposite direction. It begins with removal. A sculptor does not reveal the figure inside the stone by adding more marble. He stands before the block with patience, vision, and restraint. Then he removes what does not belong. In the same way, the strongest version of you is not waiting somewhere far away to be invented. It is already within you, buried beneath fear, comparison, borrowed expectations, old wounds, and the hunger to be seen in a certain light. Your work is not to decorate a false image of strength. Your work is to clear away everything that weakens your spirit. And this work must happen quietly, not because you are hiding, but because sacred change loses power when it becomes performance. The moment you announce every step of your growth, you invite the same hunger you are trying to overcome. You begin seeking applause for your discipline, sympathy for your healing, recognition for your silence, validation for becoming authentic. Real change does not need an audience to become real. A seed does not explain itself while it breaks open beneath the soil. A mountain does not ask to be praised for standing firm. A warrior does not become dangerous by speaking about training, but by returning to it when no one is watching. Strength matures in silence, through repetition, restraint, and the private decision to stop betraying yourself. This is where the battle begins. It begins in the pause before reaction. It begins, clears throat, when fear arises but no longer commands your hands. It begins when the desire to impress, defend, explain, or be understood appears inside you. And instead of obeying it blindly, you observe it with discipline. You breathe. You return to your center. You choose from clarity rather than fear. No one may notice the shift at first. The same room may surround you. The same people may speak to you. The same responsibilities may wait. But something within you has changed. You have stopped asking life to become easier before you come some stronger. You have stopped waiting for perfect conditions before you begin. You have stopped believing peace will arrive only when the world finally gives you what you want. Peace begins when you stop surrendering your inner state to things that were never yours to control. And once you see this clearly, the first chain becomes impossible to ignore. Before you can become calm, disciplined, and unshakable, you must face the silent addiction that has shaped too many of your choices. The need to be approved by others. This is one of the quietest prisons a person can live inside. It does not look like weakness at first. It often looks like kindness, politeness, humility, loyalty, emotional intelligence. You learn to read the room before you speak. Adjust your tone before your truth has a chance to stand. Soften your opinion because someone might feel uncomfortable. Laugh when nothing is funny. Say yes while your body is already saying no. Over time, this becomes so natural you no longer notice the cost. You believe you are keeping peace, but many times, you are only abandoning yourself in a gentle voice. Approval becomes dangerous because it trains you to place your inner value in hands that were never meant to carry it. A small frown disturbs your day. A delayed message makes you question your worth. A cold response turns your mind into a courtroom. A lack of praise makes you feel invisible. This is how a person becomes dependent on the temperature of other people's reactions. When they smile, you feel safe. When they withdraw, you feel threatened. When they admire you, you expand. When they doubt you, you shrink. That is not freedom. That is emotional slavery with polite manners. The disciplined mind must learn to see this clearly. The opinion of another may inform you, but it must not govern you. Judgment may reveal something useful, but it cannot become the foundation of your identity. There is a great difference between listening with humility and living for permission. One makes you wiser, the other makes you smaller. The person who constantly seeks approval slowly loses the ability to hear the voice of conscience. At first, they change a few words, then a few choices, then their direction. Eventually, they wake up inside a life built to satisfy people who will never have to live with the consequences. This is why comparison is so destructive. It does not simply make you want what another has. It teaches you to distrust the path beneath your own feet. You see the result, the body, the relationship, the money, the respect, the applause. You do not see the private cost, the years of sacrifice, the hidden failures, the lonely discipline, the pain never posted, the emptiness behind the appearance. You compare your unfinished interior with their polished exterior, then punish yourself for not feeling whole. A strong person does not use another's highlight as a weapon against their own soul. They observe, they learn, they respect effort, but they do not bow before illusion. The same chain appears when you over-explain your decisions. You set a boundary, then bury it under reasons. You decline an invitation, then offer a speech as if your peace requires legal defense. You choose a new direction, then exhaust yourself trying to make everyone understand. But clarity does not always need an audience. A calm no can be complete. A simple decision can stand without decoration. Silence can carry more dignity than a long explanation given to someone never willing to understand you. This does not mean becoming cold or careless with those who matter. Those truly affected deserve honesty. Those who love you with maturity deserve communication. But not every critic deserves access to your inner court. Not every question deserves your emotional labor. Not every raised eyebrow is a command. When you remove the chain of approval, do it quietly. Do not announce you no longer care what people think, for that announcement can become another form of snort softly, seeking attention. Instead, practice in small moments. Speak one honest sentence without diluting it. Hold one boundary without apology. Let one person misunderstand you without chasing rescue. Choose one action aligned with values, not admiration. At first, your nervous system may resist. You may feel guilty, exposed, selfish. That discomfort is not proof you are wrong. It is the feeling of an old chain losing authority. Stay still. Breathe. Let the discomfort pass without handing it the throne. The goal is not to be disliked. The goal is to stop being ruled by the fear of being disliked. The goal is not to reject feedback. The goal is to stop kneeling before every opinion. When you reclaim this, your voice becomes simpler. Choice is cleaner. Presence heavier. Not loud but grounded. You stop performing goodness and begin practicing integrity. You stop chasing applause and listen for the quiet approval of your own conscience. And once that inner compass is stronger than the noise, you are ready to face the next chain. The habit of turning pain into complaint and complaint into identity. Once approval loses its grip, another chain reveals itself. Harder to recognize because it hides behind pain. Not the honest expression of emotion, not the necessary moment a wounded heart speaks, but the repeated language of helplessness that teaches the mind to kneel. Complaining feels small at first. Words about weather, disappointment, unfairness, weight. Things you should have received but never did. Yet every complaint leaves an imprint. Every time you speak as if life happens against you, you train the nervous system to search for proof of powerlessness. The mind is a faithful servant to the language you feed it. If you name yourself unlucky, betrayed, stuck, broken, your inner world organizes around those names. This does not mean suffering is false. Some wounds are real. Some betrayals cut deep. Some childhoods ask a person to grow strong before feeling safe. To deny this is not wisdom, it is cruelty. But there is a difference between honoring pain and building a home inside it. Between saying this happened to me and this is all I am allowed to become. The first gives truth a place to stand. Second turns history into prison. Victim identity is dangerous because it feels morally justified. It gives a reason to stay. A language explaining failure before trying. Sympathy, even a strange safety. If everything is the fault of the past, you need not face the terrifying freedom of choosing what comes next. This is where many quietly surrender. Not in collapse, but through stories repeated. I cannot trust because I was betrayed. I cannot rise because I was unsupported. I cannot begin because I am damaged. Truth may exist in the wound, but poison exists in the conclusion. A disciplined person does not pretend the past did not hurt. They refuse to let pain author their future. They look at the scar without worshipping it. Remember what happened without allowing memory to become master. This requires courage no audience understands. Easier to complain than act. Easier to explain chains than loosen them. Easier to be understood as wounded than to stand responsible for a life still containing the wound. But responsibility is not blame. You may not be to blame for what happened, but you are responsible for what you continue to practice. Responsible for thoughts watered, identity rehearsed, excuses protected, actions refused or chosen. When you understand this, complaining loses sweetness. You hear the weakness within. Notice when words feed pain rather than release it. Then a new question arises. Not why did this happen? Not why is life heavy? The stronger question is, what's this moment require from me? This does not erase pain. It returns power to your hands. Turns attention from wound to response, story to step, past to discipline in the present. Begin quietly. Next time complaint rises, pause. Ask if words create clarity or deepen the cage. Ask what remains in your control. If action exists, take it. If lesson exists, receive it. If nothing remains, release the argument and return to breath. Strength comes not from denying pain, but refusing to make it your throne. When you stop complaining, you do not become cold, you become clean. Energy returns from the courtroom of the past. Eyes see doors where they once searched for walls. When victim identity falls away, you are ready to protect the next sacred territory. The energy and attention deciding what life you actually build. You begin to see with sharper eyes what strengthens, what weakens, what restores, what drains. This requires the discipline of guarding energy. Many speak of time as the only resource. But energy gives time value. An hour with clear mind builds meaning. A day emotionally drained disappears, leaving nothing. You must become careful who and what receives access. Not every challenge is toxic. Some discomfort tells truth. Some questioning sees potential you avoid. Some refuse to flatter weakness. Do not confuse discomfort with harm. Growth begins with friction. But another presence does not sharpen. It empties, leaves mind cloudy, turns moments into labor, makes you doubt perception, pulls into drama, resentment, gossip, guilt, calls it connection. Around them, nervous system stays alert, words cautious, confidence negotiable. History alone is not reason to surrender peace. A wise person does not hate the thorn. He stops pressing his hand against it. Protecting energy does not always require dramatic ending. Sometimes answering less, sharing less, removing expectations from those showing limits. Letting relationships become quieter without war. Access to you is not small attention. Emotional presence, patience, listening, inner space. Sacred resources. Given carelessly, nothing remains for the work life asks. In the modern world, draining presence is not always a person. Sometimes it is the screen. The phone is tool. But tool becomes master when reached for before self. Wake touching world before breath. Fill quiet with noise. Let strangers enter mind before thoughts form. Seconds become minutes. Minutes become hours. Attention scattered too small to build depth. Danger of distraction is not only clear throat wasted time. It is weakening the inner muscle, staying with one thing long enough for transformation. Distracted mind cannot create. Listen deeply. Pray, train, study, love, heal, think with strength. Becomes restless, hungry for stimulation, uncomfortable with silence, dependent on movement without progress. Silence feels frightening at first. When noise stops, you hear what was avoided. Loneliness, uncertainty, grief, desire for different life. Truth habits hid. Do not run. Enter silence like training hall. Sit, walk without filling ears. Eat without feeding eyes. Begin morning without handing mind to machine. Let attention gather. You need not disappear from world. Stop being invaded by it. Need not cut everyone off. Stop confusing excess with love. Need not perfect environment. Need courage to protect space where growth happens. As energy returns, life becomes less crowded but more alive. Words intentional. Choices less reactive. Presence calmer, no longer pulled in 100 directions. Once energy is guarded, another illusion loses power. Belief that real life waits in perfect future instead of calling discipline now. With energy less scattered, deeper illusion emerges. Delayed more lives than failure. Belief real life waits ahead. Cleaner season. Better body. Stronger account. Perfect relationship. Finished healing. Moment when everything feels ready. Sounds reasonable. Wears face of patience, planning, hope. Tells you one day when conditions right you will begin. Speak confidently. Train with discipline. Build imagined work. Forgive, leave, commit, create, risk, become. Watch carefully. Mind turns tomorrow into hiding place. Future becomes curtain behind which fear remains untouched. Many are not lazy. They are waiting. Waiting for pain to disappear. Certainty to arrive. Approval to come. Motivation to spark. Life to become gentle before becoming strong. While they wait, days pass with quiet discipline. Time does not argue, does not beg. Simply moves. Morning becomes night. Week becomes month. Year becomes memory. One day, looking back, they realized they did not lack potential. They lacked courage to begin before feeling ready. Fantasy of perfect future is dangerous because it feels noble. Allows imagining powerful self without requiring obedience from present self. Picture disciplined body without discomfort of training. Peaceful mind without surrendering disturbing habits. Meaningful life while spending attention on things making it impossible. Fantasy becomes more addictive than failure. Failure teaches. Fantasy keeps warm while nothing changes. Disciplined person asks honestly, what am I calling preparation that is actually avoidance? What am I calling patience that is actually fear? What am I postponing because I do not want to meet the version of myself that might fail publicly or struggle privately? Questions not meant to shame. Mean to return you to only place life can be touched. Present moment. Future is not built in future. Built through where you stand inside today. Shaped by next miss. Next hour of focus. Next honest conversation. Next restraint over reaction. Next promise kept after emotion fades. You do not need perfect conditions for dignity. Need one clean action. One decision from alignment, not fear. One step proving you no longer negotiate with part wanting comfort over freedom. This does not abandon vision. Without direction, distraction consumes. Goals matter, preparation matters, patience matters, but future should guide present, not replace it. Map useful only if willing to walk. Polishing map while refusing road is not preparation. Hiding with better language. Begin quietly. Do not wait for complete confidence. Confidence born after action, not before. Do not wait for total healing. Healing deepens when moving with wound instead of worshipping it. Do not wait for others to understand. Roads clear after stopping asking crowd to bless first step. Ask. What would change in next 24 hours if you stopped treating life as rehearsal? What would you do today accepting no perfect season comes to rescue you from responsibility of becoming? Do that thing, not loudly, not dramatically, not for witness, with quiet force of person who stops delaying their own soul. Releasing fantasy of perfect future does not lose hope, makes hope honest, brings it from imagination into behavior. Stop waiting for gate to open. Begin walking with strength already available. Taking that step, another lesson becomes unavoidable. Give whole heart to action. Release grip on outcome. Returning to present action brings test. Acting with sincerity, discipline, courage, mind attaches to result. Says, if work hard, life must reward quickly. If I love deeply, they must stay. If I speak honestly, all must understand. If I prepare carefully, nothing goes wrong. Here many lose peace. Do right things, suffer demanding life response and as imagined. Confuse effort with ownership. Belief planting seed means controlling weather, soil, season, speed of growth. Wisdom begins separating what belongs to hands from what belongs to life. Effort belongs to you. Intention, discipline, honesty, patience, preparation, response. These are yours. Timing of results. Choices of others. Movement of opportunity. Judgment of world. Sudden changes. Never fully yours to command. Forgetting this, anxiety becomes companion. Send message. Suffer over reply. Submit work. Torture self with outcome. Give heart. Live in fear of losing what was never possession. Train, sacrifice, pray, build. Still restless cause part tries gripping wind. Disciplined mind does not become passive. Does not stop caring. Detachment is not excuse for weak effort. True detachment is not indifference. Complete devotion to action without slavery to result. Think of archer before target. Before arrow leaves bow, everything matters. Stance, breath, strength of hands, stillness of eyes, hours of practice, patience of body. Archer must not be careless. Must not blame wind before mastering form. But once arrow released, another world begins. Air shifts, target moves, unseen interrupts. Wisdom not found chasing arrow, found returning to practice. Live this way. Hold bow with full presence while arrow is yours. Give best while action in hands. Speak truth while words forming. Work with devotion while task before you. Love with integrity while heart choosing. But when moment passed, message sent, effort made, decision left hands, release outcome from nervous system. Do not pay emotional rent for future not arrived. Do not turn waiting into self-punishment. Do not mistake worry for responsibility. Worry feels like care. Most times, fear pretending useful. If something remains to do, do it. Something to correct, correct it. Lesson to receive, receive cleanly. If nothing remains in control, return to breath. Stand still, not weakness. Mastery. Strongest person not forcing life to obey. Remaining steady when life refuses. World delays result. Cannot take dignity of effort. People misunderstand intention. Cannot own conscience unless handed over. Circumstances close door, cannot decide if you become bitter, careless, defeated. Decision remains yours. Practice quietly before important action. Ask, what is mine to do? Do it fully. After, ask, what is no longer mine to carry? Let go with discipline. Mind returns to outcome again and again. Do not hate it. Train as body. Bring back, bring back, bring back. Each return, repetition of freedom. Each release, strengthening inner spine. Acting with total commitment while inwardly free from result, you become difficult to disturb. Stop bargaining with life. Stop making peace dependent on applause, timing, success, certainty. Rooted in quality of own action. From rooted place, ready to face deepest removal. False self created to survive. Quiet return to person you were before. Fear taught performance. Learning to do part and release outcome. Something deeper surfaces. Beneath approval, complaint, distraction. Fear snorts softly and control. Final layer must be seen with complete honesty. False self created to survive. Not born from freedom. Shaped by pressure, fear, rejection, disappointment. Quiet lessons absorbed. Learned which parts rewarded, punished. Agreeable kept peace. Hiding anger made you easier to love. Shrinking dreams protected from ridicule. Silence safer than truth. Useful, pleasant, strong, calm, successful, invisible enough. Maybe not abandoned. Built version moving through world with less danger. At first not weakness. Intelligence under pressure. Nervous system protecting heart. Child, young person. Wounded soul doing necessary to feel safe. But what helps survive later prevents living. Mask worn too long, shapes face beneath. May reach point no longer knowing if choices are yours or belong to fear, expectation, shame, pressure, hunger for acceptance. Return to true nature requires courage. Not only changing habits. Questioning identity that got you through pain. Looking at version that kept you safe, saying, thank you, but you cannot lead my life anymore. False self survives through performance. Wants to appear calm when soul restless. Confident when choice is shaped by fear. Generous hoping to purchase love. Disciplined from need to be admired, not devotion. True self does not perform. Dances. Breathes. Chooses from alignment, not applause. Needs not be dramatic. Convince room. Announce arrival. True self returns in small quiet acts. One honest sentence. Boundary held without apology. Decision without crowd blessing. Moment stopping laughing at what wounds dignity. Mourning no longer reaching distraction before meeting breath. Choice simple, clean, difficult because from deepest part. Ask, if no one could judge, misunderstand, reject or be disappointed, what would you stop doing? What would you finally say? Build? Leave? Protect? What dream would return from burial place? Distance between honest answer and current life reveals how much traded for safety. Do not hate self. Hatred is another cage. See clearly. Bow to part that survived. Begin removing what is no longer true. Removal must be quiet. Turning authenticity into performance builds another mask. More beautiful, spiritual, impressive, still mask. Real freedom needs no decoration. Felt in nervous system when no longer betraying self to be chosen. Felt in breath when stop explaining existence to those committed to misunderstanding. Felt in spine when actions and values stand in same line. End of journey, also beginning. Remove need for approval, voice returns. Remove complaint, power returns. Remove toxic excess and distraction, energy returns. Remove fantasy of perfect future, returns to present. Release outcome, peace returns to hands. Remove false self, what remains is not new person. Person waiting beneath noise. Do not announce transformation, do not ask world to witness. Begin in silence, train in silence, heal in silence. Choose in silence, let life become evidence. Strongest version of you does not need to be created.